All right, I'm back again, Dave here, with our second matrix. This time we're doing the yellows and reds. Remember, we're just mixing colors to see what type of combinations we'll have, and we're going to tint them a little bit with white to uh, bring out some of the darker ones. We're not using any black. We're not going down any lower than just a regular color itself. We're just going up with the tints. This this is the second of four matrices. We've already done one. This will be two, yellows and reds. The next will be number three, which will be the reds and blues. And then we will have all the colors mixed with a couple of stragglers, little extra ones we do have. So we're going to get started on this one. And see, our first thing here, we're going to need some white for our tints. So we're going to add a little white up here in the corner. Right here. That should be enough. A little white right there. Now our list of colors go cadmium red light, cadmium red deep, alizarin, transparent oxide red, and magenta. So our first color we'll put down will be cadmium red light. We're going to put that right across the top. That's our cadmium red light. Next we've got cadmium red deep. And next, alizarin crimson. Transparent oxide red. And lastly, magenta. These happen to be the colors of a student, and if you don't happen to have these particular colors, you can use any yellows and reds as long as you follow the procedure. So the first yellow on our matrix is cadmium yellow. So the way we're going to do this, we'll put one small dab of cadmium yellow. I got a little much oil in it. Okay, one small dab right below each color. As such. Now we'll start out with our cadmium red light for our mixtures. Cadmium yellow and cadmium red light. Bring down a little bit of that and see what we have here. I'm going to need some more cadmium yellow. Cadmium red light is pretty strong. Just a little bit. Very obvious our reds have a lot of tinting power. We'll get a nice orange. And we'll put just a little bit of white for a tint. Oh, that's what we get. Next, we're going to use just a little bit of our cadmium red deep. Same here. In between each application, I clean off my palette knife, of course. Bringing out the tint. Next is the alizarin. Small amount. Always clean off your palette knife before you go into the white. If I want to add a little bit more white, I wipe it off just a little bit. A little bit more white right there to bring that tint up. Next, we're going to the transparent oxide red. Small amount. Not as hard of a tint. I can use a little bit more maybe. See what we get. Just a little bit of white. Bring it down. And finally, the magenta. A little bit of white. Now we've got our color strings and our first line across. And now I will take my brush. As I said before, I use a Scholastic Bright. I like brights. This is a number 8. Nice square point. Get into the corners real good. First thing we're going to paint is the darker value, cadmium red light. We get a nice orange. Now we wipe the brush off just a little bit and go into the tint. Go into the actual tint. Start from the right, move to your left. When you get about right there, we want to blend them together just slightly. Now, since we're staying in the yellow and red family, we're not using any thinner. We're just wiping our brush off on our towel. And just a slight blend. Second is the cadmium red deep. Let's get a good even coverage. And we'll go down to our tint. Now we blend, just a slight blend. Like that. Moving over to alizarin. About halfway to the rectangle. Down to our tint. Slight blend, okay. Now we'll go to the transparent oxide red. Even though they may all be sort of an orange, but if you'll notice the differences. Of course, it could be darker depending on how much of the red you use. This is all very subjective. And the last one is the magenta. And go to our tint. Now we finished our first line. We're just wiping our brush off real good. No mineral spirits. We don't want the brush to get too wet. We're still in the yellow and red family, so we can keep that. But what we need to do is scrape and clean our palette off down here. So that's what I'm going to do. And what I usually do is have a paper towel folded. And this is the preliminary. I'll put most of it here. Scrape as much as I can. Once I've done that, then I will use a small little pack of rags that I usually cut from bar mops. Here. Dip it in turpentine in my odorless mineral spirits and clean just below that. Get that one out. Now this particular cloth is just been dipped, so it's real wet, as you can see. Make it a little wetter. Clear it off. Just the tip of it in there. I'll use a second cloth, which is completely dry. Dry real good. Clean up real good. Okay, now we're ready for our second yellow.